Hello my friend and welcome to my channel Faisal Zip. I hope that you are well. Let's now continue building our game and actually implement the game logic itself. And with game logic, I basically mean implementing the way how the game works. So we need to implement what happens when the guess is correct. So when it's equal to the secret number, we also need to implement what happens when the guess is too low or when it's too high. So basically, we have these three scenarios. And to start, we actually need to define that secret number. Otherwise, there is nothing which we can compare than the guess to. Alright? Now, where do you think we should define that secret number? Should we do it inside of this button handler? Or should we do it outside? Well, the answer is that we should do it outside, because we only want that secret number to be defined once. So only when we start the application. And so that's out here outside of the handler function. Okay? So let's see if I have another JavaScript code. No, to delete it. No, it's good for now. So if we define the secret number inside this handler function, then on each click we would get a new secret number, and so then the game would make no sense at all. Alright? We just need one number which we can then compare to each of the guesses this here on each click. So let's define the secret number. So I am gonna just call it here secret number. Okay, const secret number. Okay, and now we need a random number between 1 and 20. And this is actually pretty similar to the dice roll that we did earlier in the fundamental section. So we use mat, remember, dot random function. Okay, so mat is basically an object that JavaScript gives us, and on there we have a lot of different methods, and random is one of them. And it gives us a number between 0 and 1, remember. So just let me show you here in the console. So mat dot random. Do you see? So if I run it again, I have a number between 1, 0 and 1. Okay? Now, if I want a number between 1 and 20, I will start by multiplying this by what? By 20, of course. Okay? So here I can do it also here. You can see it directly from here. 20. Do you see? And so now we have this decimal number here, basically ranging between 0 and 20. But all this decimal here is just noise. So let's remove that. And for that we use mat dot shrink. Okay, and between parentheses this number that we generate. And now, as you can see, I have 0 here. As you can see, it's good for now. Okay, let's continue. So I am doing all of this here in the console, so you can see how this building up. Okay, and so now I have a number which goes from 0 to 19, not to 20, and so don't start from 1 also. So because the result of this here will never really include the number 20. It may only include like 19.999 etc. But now we are cutting off that decimal part, and so we are now left with a number between 0 and 19. And so to elevate it to between 1 and 20, all you have to do is to add 1 here. Okay, and now all the number will be between 1 and 20, as you can see. Here is 20. And with this, we make sure that the number is always between these two boundaries. So let's put this code now in our code. So I have added 20. So I will add mat.rank. Mat.rank. Okay, and plus 1. Good. Now, in the real game, the number will obviously be hidden, of course. We don't see it. So behind this question mark. But now, since we are still in development, let's actually display the number here so that we can then test our game logic as we develop it, just for test. So for example, let's select that number. And I think again, we already did it before. But let's do it anyway again. So adjust, so the class name, if I remember, it is number. If I remember, so document.query selector. And here the class name is number. Okay, dot, remember, text content equal. And now, what do we put here? Well, just a secret number that we just calculated. Okay, it's so simple. Secret number. Good. And now, as I save it, watch what happens. Do you see? Now we have our random number, and if I reload the page, you will see a different number appearing. Okay? Do you see? And again, for you, of course, it will be different numbers, because it is random. Okay, so you can get 20, you can get 1. Okay, so it's good. All numbers are in between 1 and 20. Okay, so it's in our range here. Just to check if it's all right. So if we don't see anywhere number, but it all looks okay to me. Okay. And so let me now move on, actually compare the secret number to the user's guess. So here we already have the condition. If there is no guess, then just print to the message element that there is no number. Okay? So that's again, check that, and let's see. No number, it works. But now, what if there actually it is a guess? Okay, so let's say here, if, else, of course, if. And now we actually check if the guess is the same as secret number. How to do that? Just simple, guess, flip equal here, strict equality, secret number. Okay, so let's create a code block here, and now we need to specify what happens when the guess is correct. So again, when the guess is the same as the secret number, that's essentially what the guess being means. Alright? So what should happen then is that the correct number message should be displayed. Okay? So let's just copy this message, or just the selector. Okay, and then here, what I put here, I just put correct number. So simple. The correct message, correct number. Okay, it's the first step. What is it? Good. Do you need to increase the font, or tell me please if I need to increase the font or no for the video? I don't know. Maybe we'll see it's between parentheses. If it's very small for you, I will increase the font in next video, but you must tell me please, okay? And for now, that's actually it. So I will just give it a save now, and let's test. Just here, it is 15, of course. Okay, we have the secret number. Okay. So let's try 12. I have always start guessing here. There is nothing. 12. Okay. I will try another number, of course, which of course different. Then in the future we will want a message here saying the number is too high or too low. Okay, in the future. So we are gonna doing that in a second. Don't worry. But now let's just put the correct number. It is 15. And here, indeed, now we get correct number. So that's exactly what we defined here in this if-else or else-if block. Alright? So I hope all of that makes sense for you. And now let's work on that scenario that I just mentioned, which is then the guess is greater than the number. So you see that here in this big if or if else here statement, we are covering all the different scenarios that may happen here to this number. So the first one was that there is no number at all, right? Then we checked if it's equal to the secret number, and now we will check if it is greater or smaller. So if the guess is greater than the secret number, and then what would happen? Well, let's again select just the message content. Okay, so we added here else if the guess is greater than secret number. Okay, so here I will put same thing, but here I will just put the message too high. So simple. Okay, so let's add maybe I can add an emoji if you want. Okay, if you want to add the emoji, remember it's shortcut window plus comma point. Okay, so let's search higher, for example. No, I don't have it. Let's search greater. Now let's search graph. Yes, maybe this one. Yeah, it's good. Good. And now, also, since we are working on this, let's account for the last situation or the last scenario as in which is that the guess is lower than a secret number. So guess is below the secret number. So let's just copy all this part. So here is lower. Okay, and here what I will put, I just put too low, and I will change the graph, the icon, by this one. Okay, and now let's test it now. So right now we know it is 16, the secret number. So let's try any different number that is higher. For example, 17. Check. Too high. Good. It works. So let's test one which is too low. For example, 10. Okay. Too low. As far as one's too high. Sorry, this one is too low. Good. And so that's working already. Now let's move on the next step, which is to work with a score here. Okay? So remember that each time that we guess a wrong number, our score showed to decrease. Remember? So let me show that to you again in the demo app. So let's try 15. Look at the score. It decreased. Okay? So if I check again another wrong number, I don't know if it's correct or no. Too high, let's do it 17, it's wrong, it decreases again until I found the correct number. So let's implement that in our code here as well. So as you see here, we start with score 20. And now in these two scenarios, where the guess is wrong, so here, where it's above, and here, where it's below. So we want to decrease that score by 1. Alright? Because again, each time that there is a wrong guess, the score should decrease by 1. So how should we do that? And I can think of two ways of doing that. The first way is to read the score from this HTML element here, and then decrease it by 1, and then print it here again. So that will be the first way of doing it. But there is a better way. And the better way is to actually create a variable for the score in the code and then update that variable. So basically to decrease that variable and then display the value of that variable here in this score label. And by doing that, we have our data also in the code and not just on the DOM. And so that's always a very good thing to do. So let me do that now and then I will explain it a little bit later. Okay? So I'm gonna do right here after the secret number. So const again, and here score. Okay, and as you already know, we start with 20, and so that's our initial score. So the value that we set to this variable, and actually let should be not do let here because not const, sorry, we put let because we then decrease that value, so it will change. If we do const, we can do it, we can change it. Okay, and so it cannot be const because const, remember, it is immutable. Okay, and now here let's go back to the wrong guess scenario. Our scenario was because it is this one, if and else for higher and lower. Okay, and this one, and then we'll do decrease the score. So here what we will do for the both score equal score minus 1. So simple, the same thing. We do it again here. And maybe you already know, or hopefully you do, that this is the same as writing score minus minus. Do you remember? So we decrease the score, and then all you have to do is to display that score then here in this element. Okay, so once again we already did that, so we need to no need to repeat. So it is this one here, or the score this one. Okay, so we select the element with the class of the score, and then at the text content we give the score. So here we put score, and that's it. Now we just need the same code also in the other wrong scenario, so where the guess is below the secret number. So I am just copying this code here and put it here. Okay, now give a save to your document, but before testing it, let me again explain what we just did here. So as I said, we could have also stored this score basically in the DOM, and to do that we would always just read this value from here. So right from the DOM, then we could decrease that value and then write it back here to the DOM, but then we would not have that value in our code. So essentially our application will have no way of knowing that score at all points. And so it's always good to keep a variable, the score, which actually holds the data in our code, and not just rely on the DOM to hold our data. Alright? And this variable here can also be called a state variable, because the score is part of the so-called application state, which is basically all the data that is relevant to the application. And we could say 18, so the secret number is also part of the state of our application. Alright? And so we want all the data always to be available somewhere in our code and not just in the DOM. Okay? It's very important. But always keep that in mind. And so that is why we implemented the solution like this. So whenever there is a wrong guess, we just take the score that we already have in our code, then we decrease it by 1, and then we display that new score right here. So let's reload again. Okay, it's 1, not good. 10, let's reset it with 10. Let's say 12, it is higher. Okay, and check. What happens to our score now? It decreases. Indeed. And it decreased to 19, and our number is too high. And when I click again now, with same number, you see, it decreases even more. So let's try with lower number. It is 8, for example. So too low, and the score decreased again. And actually, let's keep going. Check, 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 check. And what happens? Watch. Do you see something here? So I'm clicking over and over on the same button here, and the score keeps going down, and eventually we reach 0. And at this point we should basically lose the game, alright? But as you see here, nothing of course happens. And we can keep clicking here and go until infinity. And our program will of course not care, because our program obviously has no idea of losing or of winning the game, alright? It is completely on us to write all that logic. So basically, what this means is that all of this checking here, so doing all this here should only happen whenever the score is still above 0. And then when the score is actually 0, then we should get some kind of message here saying that we lost the game. So let's quickly do that here inside of this scenario. So let's start with higher. So let's check here. And that's of course not a problem at all. We can perfectly have one if inside another if, I remember. So what I was just saying is that this here, all of this should basically only happen while the score is still above 0. So let's do that. So if score is above 0, then do all the things here. So that means this one, all this block will be inside the if, like this. Okay, so I just refactor. I will need we had a shortcut about this. Okay, all this block what I have do before will be inside the if. Okay, and now else, the else block. So basically here, if the score is 0, then we want to display another message. So we want to say you lost the game with some losing emoji. So I'm gonna use this message again, message, and here I will put, what is it? You lost the game. Let's add the emoji. I like this one. Boom. Boom. Off. Okay. And so let's start now. I have to do it only for the first one, no problem. So let's test. 16. So number is too high. And then let's keep going to check until 0. So test what happens. So we are approaching it now, and now, as you can see, you lost the game. Okay, but actually I could click there twice, as you can see. I have to do it twice, as my score was already 0. So try this for yourself. I will just reload here. Okay, and again, let's put 11, and look, I will do it again. Look now. So now the score is 1, and as I click, we should get a message, you lost the game. So let's try it, and it didn't happen yet, as you can see. And it did not happen because the score was indeed still greater, of course, than 0 here. Okay? So we need to change that to greater here to 1. Okay? It's very important. I hope that you have understand this. So let's try it again. So 7, 8. Now I will do it until we got number 1. And look here. And now I have the 1. And if I click now, I have lost the game. And all we need to do is to update the score to 0 here. Okay? So let's just copy this part of code. And I will put here score equals 0. Just I will update it. Okay? So let's just remove this one to see very well our code. Sorry, I have forgot to do it. And then before we test it, we actually copy the same code to this scenario when the guess is lower. Okay? So I have the if that do the same thing here for all this code. It is the first part. And the same thing for the else block here. It is the same for the else. There is no difference. Okay? We have the same scenario here. Now, as you can see, we are creating a lot of duplicate code here. And we will fix it that by the end of this project, inshallah. But for now, let's just keep working on this. And the only thing that really change here is this message. Too high and too low, as you can see. So we will see that here is some potential to eliminate duplicate code. But again, we'll take care of later that. For now, let's just make it work, okay? And with this, I think we are actually finished. So let's just test it. Have saved, yeah. So let's just test it with another number, or let's another number, no problem, like this. Okay. So let's keep going. Test number 10, and let's just keep going down to test if it's okay. 1, good. You lost the game here. Let's reload. And then we test by the less this time. Check. Stop. Good. Also. So we have lost the game also. So great. So our game logic is already working. Actually, the game itself is also kind of working already. There is just 2 things that are missing here, which is the high score and display game button. But before implementing that functionality, in the next video we are gonna talk a little bit about CSS and how we can manipulate style using JavaScript, inshallah. So stay focused, follow this course until the end to understand very well JavaScript. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, please, Faisal Azib. Like this video, share it with your friends, and follow me on Instagram, faisal.checo, Telegram, Lean Practice and Share, Twitter, Teams Winners. I tell you goodbye. Wassalamu alaikum wa barakatuh.